So today you're going to take notes on different ways that we write linear equations, and you all should have this worksheet so that way you can fill it in. So when you are writing linear equations, just a reminder, we always want to write equations in y equals mx plus b, which means we need to find the m, which is the slope, and we need to find the b, which is the y-intercept. Once we have both of those pieces, we are able to write the equation for the line. So whenever I start these problems, I always start with y equals mx plus b. And I try to see if there is any information that the problem gives me that I can find the slope and the y-intercept. So in this case, they say the slope is 1/3. Well, we know slope is m. So that means I can come over here and replace my m with 1/3. And then they also tell us that our y-intercept is -5. So that means they're giving us our b. So our b is -5. Well, guess what? Remember we said we only need the m and the b. So now I have y equals 1/3 x minus 5. And that is my answer. So this is the most basic information that they can give you to get to the final answer, which is a linear equation in slope-intercept form. The second one we're going to see is standard form, and we already talked about this in class as well. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, but remember we want it to look like y equals mx plus b, which means we need to isolate that y and get the y by itself. So if I rewrite 4x minus 2y equals 14, and I want to isolate to get the y by itself. So I'm going to box my y and draw my line. So I need to move 4x to the other side. Well, it's positive, so I'm going to subtract 4x here and subtract 4x here. These ones cancel, so I have -2y. And remember in class, we talked about how 14 and 4x are not like terms. That means I cannot combine them and get 10x here because 14 doesn't have an x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write -4x first, and then I have positive 14, so I'm going to put plus 14. My last step now, if I try to box my y again, there's still a -2 by it. -2 is being multiplied by y, so I need to divide by -2. And remember, we do each piece. So these cancel. I end up with y equals. Now a -4 divided by a -2, if I do alpha y equals, it'll tell me 2x. And if I do alpha y equals and do 14, and then -2, I get -7. So I have an equation in y equals mx plus b. There's my final answer. Now, those two are pretty standard. The last three are a little bit trickier. You have actually seen all of this information, you just never realized that you have seen it before. So from a graph, remember we always start with our same equation, y equals mx plus b. And we want to find the m and the b. So if I try to find the m, which is the slope, I need 2 points. And I want to find my rise and my run. So if I draw my slope triangle here, I go up 2, and I go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left 5. So my m is a positive 2 and a -5 because I went left. And my b, I'm trying to figure out where along the y-axis this graph crosses. And if I look, it crosses right here. And that's at -1. So my b is -1. So now I just plug into my equation. Y equals m was 2 over -5x plus my b, which is -1. So this one is kind of like the first problem where they gave us the m and the b here, but now they gave us a graph and we just have to look on the graph to find it. Now, A point and a slope is very similar to 2 points. Y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form, and that's good when you have the slope and the y-intercept. But for a point and a slope and 2 points, you actually want to use a new form that you haven't seen before, which is called point-slope form. So I'm going to write it in this box. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And you will use this formula to get it into y equals mx plus b, but you have to use this one to plug into first. So if you think about information that they give us, well, they give us the slope, so there's my m. Okay, my m is -3, so they give us that. But now they give us a point. And we've looked at these before, and we've labeled them x1, y1 when we wanted to find the slope. So they actually gave us this and this right there. And then the y and the x always stay. So if I wanted to use this formula over here, and I'm just going to write it again so you can see it nice underneath it, I'm just going to plug in the information that they gave me. So y minus y1 is 3 equals my m, which is -3, times x minus x1, which is -1. So all I did was plug in my information. Now, inside the parentheses, you see minus -1. Well, that just turns into a big plus, because 2 negatives make a positive. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify to get y by itself. But I notice that there's a -3 outside of parentheses. That means I have to distribute. So I'm going to get -3x, because -3 times x is -3x. -3 times +1 is -3. And I'm going to copy down my y minus 3. Now, if I want to get y by itself, it says y minus 3. Well, the opposite of subtracting 3 or minus 3 is add or plus 3. And if I do it over here, I have to do it to the other side. So these cancel, and I get y equals -3x plus 0. And you'll notice this looks exactly like y equals mx plus b. So for this one, I just have to start with the point-slope formula, and then I can do the same thing as we did before and solve for y. Now the last one is a little bit trickier, and it's hard to fit in this box, but if I label like I did above, I have x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So if I compare it to the point in the slope above, I still have x1, y1, but I'm missing the m. So what I have to do is find my m. And if you recall, we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is our slope formula, which helps us find the slope between 2 points. So if I'm using this, I would do y2, which is -13, minus y1, which is -7, over x2, which is 8, minus x1, which is -4. And if I were to use the calculator, I would get -1/2 as my slope. So now what I would want to do is use, okay, here's my m, and I have this point here, and so I want to use this new formula, our point slope formula, and plug into it. So let's write that. Y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. So I have y minus, my y1 was -7, equals my m, which was -1/2, times x minus my x1, which was -4. And just like above, remember when you have two negatives, it turns positive. So that's plus, and this is plus. So all I'm going to do now is start to solve for y so I can simplify this. So I'm going to do -1/2 times x and -1/2 times 4. So I get -1/2 x, and -1/2 times 4, I would do alpha y equals in my calculator, times 4, and I get -2, y plus 7. And now my last step is to isolate the y. So I see plus 7, so I'm going to subtract 7 here and here. And I'm going to get y equals -1/2 x minus 9. And there's my y equals mx plus b.